Hola todos, ¿cómo están? Howdy y'all, how you doing? Hey, this is drill 2, our second week of purposeful drills. I'm gonna try to post one every week. We'll see how I do, but for right now, I've got a lot of free time, so I'm making these videos. This week's practice is going to be your other strong hand. If you're right-handed, we call that your strong hand. If you're left-handed, of course, left is your strong hand. For me, right hand is strong hand, left hand is other strong hand, okay? We don't call things that are not, let me see, the scripture, our God that calls the things that are not as though they were. Well, we're gonna call things as though we want them. This is not my weak hand. This is my other strong hand, all right? So we're gonna work today on making it another strong hand. Learning to shoot with your support hand. And when we're gonna do this, we're gonna be shooting with only the other strong hand. Because the only reason we would be doing this in a gunfight is because our strong hand, our primary hand, is compromised for whatever reason. Either somebody's holding it and we've got to fight our way free, or it's been injured and it's hanging there useless. So today we're gonna practice getting this other strong hand into play. Now, I can't tell you how this is gonna work for you, but I can show you how to work it out, how to work it through, how to figure it out. I'll show you what works for me and maybe give you hints on how to make it work for you. Number one, just like in last week's video, let's start from being on target, and then we'll work our way backwards to feel what it should look like in a presentation, okay? So I'm gonna start on target, and then I'm gonna pull back to a waist position. Now I'm not holstered because normally my holster is gonna be over here. But for some reason I have transitioned to this other hand and I've got to present and protect myself, all right? So look what this looks like for me. I have checked this, it's got the laser pointer in the chamber. I'm going to point it at the camera so you can see what's going on with me. Now, I know you can't see my stance here, but my stance is my regular fighting stance. I'm right-handed, so my left foot is forward. If I'm shooting, I would be punching out with my right hand. This is my fighting stance. I'm gonna keep this same stance for my left-handed shooting. So it's gonna be essentially the same thing. I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna punch out. But in this case, it's a little different because I'm right-eye dominant. I gotta cant my gun just a little bit to get my sight alignment. Now I could go left eye and then I could hold the gun up a more conventional method, but I don't want to have to learn too much today, so I'm going to keep my right eye dominant, and you'll notice when I do that, my gun's a little canted. That's because I don't want to hold my gun with my wrist compromised. I don't want to have to learn to come across and find my eye. This way I can come up more naturally and find my sights with my right eye dominance, all right? So all I'm doing today, figuring out where I'm gonna have to hold the gun, and then I'm gonna practice 1,000 times, right? So this hand's out of the equation. I'm gonna come up, find my sight, and fire. Now I can tell because of my laser that was a bad shot. Now I was on target, but not well on target. So I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna slow down, come up, find my sight, and get a good squeeze. All the principles still come into play here. I'm gonna come up, find my sight, and squeeze. Come up, find my sight, and squeeze. Now I'm real shaky with my left hand. But I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna find that middle within that shake. And I know my trigger so well that I know where it's gonna break. So I can get all the slack taken out of my trigger and be ready for that last little bit of take up when my sights find the center of that target. All right, I'll show you right here. Let's see, can you tell me if that's a good shot or not? I still hold my breath there every time I squeeze that trigger. That's an old Marine Corps conditioning, brainwashing. Now, same thing as last week. If you're using a red dot, I want you to concentrate on seeing the target and then bring your sight up into your vision. Don't come up here and start looking at your sight, and then your target becomes two targets because you're concentrating here. Everything else you see out there is off. So we're in a gunfight here. We've got a bad guy downrange there. We want to watch him, right? Now, it's a little harder for getting accurate shots if you're using front sight, rear sight, sight alignment, because you got to concentrate on that front sight to get a good shot. Unless you can practice that quick acquisition of target with both eyes open, even with your iron sights. That's a hard skill. I'm not going to teach it. But for today, let's get that other strong hand into play here. And how many times are we going to do this? I say 1,000. Bruce Lee says 10,000. You go with who you want. But I swear, 1,000 times, and this will become muscle memory. I've seen guys come on my range, have some bad habits, and I drill them, I show them how to correct those habits, and I send them home. And I tell them, don't come back till you've done this 1,000 times. I've had one person return. They came back and they were phenomenal shooters because they did all the hard work with their laser at home in their living room. 1,000 times. I'm not kidding. See y'all next week.